The Disappearance of Frederick Valentich. On the evening of Saturday, October 21, 1978, Frederick Valentich was piloting his Cessna 182L light aircraft off of the southern coast of Melbourne, Australia. He was en route to King Island. At 7:06 p.m., he radioed Melbourne Air Traffic Control that he was being accompanied by an unidentified aircraft. But he was told there was no known traffic at that level. Valentich radioed back that he could see a large unknown aircraft, which was illuminated by 4 bright landing lights. He said it had passed him about 1,000 feet overhead and was moving at a high rate of speed. He then reported that the aircraft approached him from the east, and said the other pilot seemed to be toying with him. Then he started experiencing engine problems. Suddenly, his transmission was interrupted by unidentified noises. Frederick Valentich was born on the 9th of June, 1958, in Cape Otway, Australia, which is approximately 135 miles southwest of Melbourne. From a young age, Frederick loved aviation and dreamed of being a pilot. It is reported that he had twice attempted to enlist in the Royal Australian Air Force, but was rejected because he did not meet the qualifications. However, he was able to become a member of the Royal Australian Air Force Air Training Corps. He was determined to have a career in aviation. He was also studying part-time to become a commercial pilot, but failed all 5 commercial license exams. And as recently as the month before his disappearance, had failed 3 more times. He was even involved in multiple flying incidents. In one such incident, he received a warning when he strayed into a controlled airspace in Sydney. Twice, he was almost criminally charged when he deliberately flew into a cloud. According to his father, he was a passionate believer of UFOs, and stated that he was worried about being attacked by them. Valentich was flying to King Island, which is 125 nautical miles south of Moorabbin Airport. The island belongs to the Australian state of Tasmania. There are questions about his motivation for the trip. He told flight officials that he was going to King Island to pick up some friends. But he told others that he was going to pick up crayfish. Strangely, investigators found both reasons to be untrue. Also, Valentich failed to follow standard procedure by not informing King Island of his intention to land there. At 7:06 p.m., Valentich radioed air traffic control in Melbourne to report that an unidentified aircraft was following him.
Is there any known traffic below 5,000 feet? No known traffic. Seems to be a large aircraft below 5,000. What type of aircraft is it? I cannot affirm. It seems to me like 4 bright landing lights. The aircraft has just passed over me at least 1,000 feet above. Roger. It is a large aircraft. Confirm. Unknown due to the speed it's traveling. Is there any Air Force aircraft in the vicinity? No known aircraft in the vicinity. It's approaching right now from due east towards me. It seems to me that he's playing some sort of game. He's flying over me 2-3 times at time and speeds I cannot identify. Roger. What is your
All contact was lost. A search and rescue mission was launched, which included various ships, the Royal Australian Air Force, and 8 civilian aircraft. The search covered over 1,000 square miles. The search ended on 25th of October, 1978. No wreckage was found. The Australian government investigated the disappearance. They were unable to determine the cause and said it was, quote, presumed fatal. There has been a great deal of speculation surrounding the mystery. One theory is that Valentich staged his own disappearance. It is reported that his aircraft was not plotted on radar, casting doubts as to whether it was ever near Cape Otway. It has also been reported that at the same time Valentich vanished, Melbourne police received reports of a light aircraft making a mysterious landing near Cape Otway. Another explanation is that he became disoriented and was flying upside down, and the lights he thought he saw were his own aircraft's lights reflected in the water. The problem with this theory, however, is that the model Cessna he was piloting could not have flown inverted because its fuel system is gravity-fed. Another possibility is suicide. But interviews with doctors and colleagues claimed that wasn't possible. In a 2013 review of the radio transcripts and other data by astronomer and retired United States Air Force pilot James McGaha and author Joe Nickell posited the theory that the inexperienced Valentich was deceived by the illusion of a tilted horizon. A tilted horizon is simply an inaccurate perception of the horizon, usually caused by visual or atmospheric conditions. And he attempted to compensate, inadvertently putting his aircraft into a downward spiral. A graveyard spiral is a type of dangerous dive entered into accidentally by a pilot who is not experienced enough to fly by instrument reference, as opposed to outside visual reference. They believe the g-forces of a tightening spiral would decrease the amount of fuel getting to the engine, resulting in the engine problems, he reported. As for the lights he saw, McGaha and Nickell suggest that the apparently stationary overhead lights may have been the planets Venus, Mars, and Mercury, along with the bright star Antares, which could have behaved in a way congruent with Valentich's description. Ufologists have believed that extraterrestrials may have destroyed Valentich's aircraft or abducted him, claiming that some individuals reported seeing an erratically moving green light in the sky, and that he was in a steep dive at the time. A few days before the flight, eyewitnesses saw glowing lights in the sky over Melbourne. They seemed to fly randomly, up and down. Around the time of the disappearance, an eyewitness and his family were returning from an afternoon out when they noticed unusual activity in the sky. The witness asked to remain anonymous. He said, quote, "I looked up and saw this long green light about 1,000 or 2,000 feet above the aircraft. So we sat there and watched it for a few seconds. and the green light crept closer to the plane. That plane is coming down pretty steep. It's on a 45-degree angle. I think it's going to crash. 6 weeks after the incident, an amateur photographer claimed to have even more startling evidence. That very night, a man by the name of Roy Manifold had been setting up to photograph the sunset at Cape Otway. Manifold said, quote, "I'd done the normal thing, had the camera on automatic exposure, and I took 6 photographs of the sun disappearing into the sea. When he developed the photos, he noticed something strange. He said, I observed this mark on the print that looked like a developing error or something. They mussed it up. Just a minute. That is exactly the night that this guy disappeared." An Australian photo lab inspected the negative, but they did not find dirt or damage. They determined that the strange mark was actually in the picture. Later, the negative was sent to the United States for computer analysis. The researchers claimed that after inspecting it, the blot appeared to be a solid, metallic object. The metal object appeared to be enveloped in a cloud of exhaust, situated approximately a mile from the camera. However, a second analysis stated that the mark could be a developing error. Roy Manifold said, quote, "Unfortunately, I didn't see it, and I didn't hear anything that night either. First time I've had something on my printings. And I've done thousands of photographs. And without any incidents of anything like that on them." In 1983, an engine cowl flap from the same type of Cessna as the one Valentich flew washed ashore at Flinders Island, over 186 miles from his last known position. The Bureau of Air Safety Investigation was able to identify a partial serial number on the piece of wreckage. It matched the range of numbers that included the one Valentich was flying. The trouble with a partial match is that other planes had lost the same part in the same area in the early 1980s. Many years have passed since Frederick Valentich flew to his unknown fate. His mysterious disappearance has raised many questions. What did Valentich see? Why was he actually flying to King Island? Is it possible he faked his disappearance? What was in the Manifold picture? Why is there only one piece of wreckage? And why is that wreckage debatable? There are no definitive answers. It is possible he was simply an inexperienced pilot that made a fatal mistake. However, many believe the evidence is clear. He was taken by extraterrestrials.